All right, folks, so as we're gathering up, I want to say good morning, Boker Tov, Shavua Tov. I do realize it's a busy time here in Temple Sinai, and we've hanging so much programming, and then I realized that, like when we planned all those programming, we didn't realize that it's actually going to all be twice of them in one day, or then the next day, and then people actually have to wake up in their own bodies and put themselves in the car and come, and so I'm just very happy to see everyone who's in the room. I want to just I don't want to take too much of our speakers' time, because I know that we're out for a treat. I told Ilan yesterday that for me it was the first time that I heard him blow the shofar, but I've heard so many times of people telling me of how Ilan blows the shofar, and it's actually what was incredible.
It's a lot of responsibility here.
Yes.
You put on me, that.
It's a lot of responsibility. We want to lead these folks through that important time of year. Just to give us some context, we are now in the last of 3 lectures of Hol of the Bagel that are dedicated to the time of Slichot. The first one after the grand opening was Rabbi Liora Bezrafa from Israel. We spoke about forgiveness between Jews and Arabs in Israel and the amazing work that she does there. And then we had a lecture from last week by my own self about the spiritual, mystical, Kabbalistic aspects of that. And luckily for us, the closing mini-series within the greater series is going to be with Ilan Adar, who's going to talk to us about the shofar, which, as we know, is very central for that process of slichot. So I think we're getting a nice and well-rounded series that is helping us to prepare for this time of the year in a well-rounded way. 2 things before I hand the imaginary mic to you. The first one is that 3 things. One is that, if you haven't noticed, at the social hall, there's an exhibition that Sharon Shafrir, our congregant, our dedicated and devout congregant, who's kind of carrying the agenda of bring them home and the release of the captives, and almost all by herself in our congregation and in the broader community. She actually got an amazing exhibition of those pictures with explanations. They're all about the captives, and if you haven't done it yet, please take a moment to go there and read it. It's heartbreaking. It's almost like I don't want to do it, it's too much, but please do that, and take a moment to remember that we need to remember that thing and keep it in our consciousness. Second thing, next week, it's going to be October 6th, and in Hol of the Bagel we want to remember October 7th on October 6th. To that matter, we're having a panel here of 3 Israelis from the broader greater Rochester community. One of them is Sharon Shafir, but there are 2 others who are actually not members here. And we want to make sure that everybody comes and brings a friend, because I think we're all going to be very emotional towards that day, and we want to bring Jewish Americans and Israeli Americans together, and actually listen also to Israelis about their experiences about October 7th, which kind of makes sense, right? So they live amongst us, and we want to listen to them, or us, whatever, right? And depending, and so that's going to be that's next week. And the last announcement is, there's a reason why I have the Israeli flag. We are, after Hol of the Bagel, we're all invited to around, I'm assuming we'll finish around 10:45 more or less. We're all invited to join our school outside. We're going to be planting 1,200 Israeli flags on the ground. This is something that the greater Jewish community in Rochester is doing. Every Jewish institution in town is doing that. It's in commemoration of the 1,200 people, more or less, who died on October 7th. And all over Rochester, if you go to Beth El, to TDK, to Beth Shalom, to the Federation, to any Jewish, you'll see that on the road leading to it. We want to remember. So everybody's going to be invited together with the school to that task of putting the flags in the ground And please stay a few moments if you can to participate in that. Be also mindful that children are there, so we want to like watch our language and what we say, okay, around that. But we still want to all do it as a community, okay? All right, so these are the announcements. With no further ado, and thank you for your patience, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you.
We're looking forward to hearing your lecture and your demonstration.
Thank you. And if you would like to
move
over there, because then you can see this.
Yes.
And I'll move away from the TV so you don't see me instead of this.
That's a wonderful relief that I don't have to be on that side.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So thank you all for coming this morning. Just to let you know, this is the first time since my retirement being here at 9:30. I woke up this morning and said, what's different? You know, I know it's Manishtana Halayla, it's not Passover yet, but what's different this morning for all other mornings? When all other mornings I wake up around, well, actually almost the same time, but I don't have to rush. So welcome to this presentation of the Shofar through the ages. Some of you may have seen it about 2 years ago during the Elul project. If you didn't, yes, because then it's going to be the first time. We joined forces with Pauline Rosenberg, Rabbi Tila, and myself to create a document. Because every year we hear the shofar. Actually, it's once. How many of you know when did it start? How do we blow it now? What happened from the biblical time to nowadays with the use of the shofar? For those of you who came to the memorial service of my wife, Yoka, this is one of the times that the shofar was used, is during funerals. So, without further, so after this 9-minute video, we'll go back a little bit for the source. And Liz will do us the honor to read a story, a children's story actually, about how we came to this instrument. And then we'll go over to see what animals we are allowed to get the horn from, and what animals we are not allowed to get the horn from. And then I'll do some kind of demonstrations of the deer. I have three different shofarot. One is this one, small one, which is a ram's horn. Actually, the ram's horn. That one of the stories of the Torah is that the binding of Isaac and all was sacrificing of Isaac, and then the angel comes and they release a ram to be stuck in the bush. Poor ram. I mean, so Abraham took this ram instead of Isaac and sacrificed the ram instead of his son. So this one comes from there, and then we have two different, almost actually identical in length. They're both shofar in F. So what is he talking about? Well, every shofar has a different length. Lucky enough, in 1985, I bought this one. And about 20 years later, I bought this one in the Muslim quarter in Jerusalem. And I played on both of them. I said, wow, they sound very, very similar until I played both of them in exactly the same key. However, there is a difference, and you can take a look at how they are, not only almost the shape the same, but how the structure of the outside different. So we're going to hear a little bit. I'll play both, and then tell me what do you hear different. But first of all, and I know that I was asked if I'm going to teach you how to blow the shofar today, and I said it's going to take a little bit longer than an hour. Just a little bit longer than an hour. But also, interesting enough, if at one point we want to do a workshop, we need to know how to look for a shofar so that we can blow it and not just have it on our somewhere as an ornament. So first of all, let's go and take a look at this video.
The exact source of the name Shofar is yet unknown. Researchers of ancient times, however, believe that the origin of the instrument's name comes either from the ancient land of Akkad, located near the Persian Gulf, where the word for mountain goat was Saparu, or from the ancient land of Aram, located near modern-day Damascus, where the word describing the sound of a trumpet was Shofara. Although the shofar was used for ritual purposes prior to biblical times, its first mention in our Torah is placed in one of the most auspicious moments in history, Exodus 19, verse 16. On the third day, when it was morning, there was thunder and lightning and a heavy cloud on the mountain, and the sound of the shofar was very powerful. And the entire people that was in the camp shuddered. Moses brought the people forth from the camp towards God, and they stood at the bottom of the mountain. All Mount Sinai was smoking because God had descended upon it in a fire. Its smoke ascended like the smoke of the furnace, and the entire mountain shuddered exceedingly. The sound of the shofar grew louder and louder. Moses would speak to God, and God responded with a voice. The stage was set for the declaration of the 10 Commandments. Aside from this auspicious moment, the shofar was used throughout our history. It proclaimed the Jubilee year, the year of freedom to people and to the land. It signaled events relating to war and revolt. It gathered the community together, and it was used for ceremonies related to royalty. During the years of exile in the land of Babylon, the shofar was also sounded to announce death and mourning. shofar during the Middle Ages was to announce the arrival of Shabbat, the day of rest. 6 blasts were sounded at various intervals. On Friday, just before noon, the first tikiyah was sounded to call the people who worked in the fields. Then the second tikiyah was sounded, calling the shopkeepers and the city workers to stop their duties and go home. And just before sundown, the third tikiyah was sounded to call for the lighting of the Shabbat candles, followed by 3 calls, tikiyah, trua, tikiyah. Welcoming the Shabbat into people's homes. To announce the end of Shabbat and the beginning of the new week, a long call, the tikiyah gedolah, was sounded. Five species of kosher animals have provided the horns for the making of a shofar: ram, goat, mountain goat, antelope, and gazelle. However, even though the animals need to be kosher, they do not need to be slaughtered in a kosher manner for their horns to be used in the making of a shofar. Although the cow, the bull, is a kosher animal, we do not use its horn because of its association with the golden calf that the Israelites built at the foot of Mount Sinai. To become a kosher shofar, the horn must be flawless, without a hole or even a crack in its body. It should not be decorated with any sorts of painting, and no additions like a mouthpiece are allowed. Currently, the shofar is sounded mainly during Rosh Hashanah and at the end of Yom Kippur. 4 types of calls are used during the Rosh Hashanah service: tikiyah, shivarim, trua, and at the end of Yom Kippur, a long blast, a tikiyah gedolah, is sounded to symbolize God's acceptance of our prayers for repentance. In some congregations, the shofar is also sounded during the month of Elul, the last month of the Hebrew calendar before the new year, to prepare us for the 10 days of repentance between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. Because this is the month of Elul, I would like to invite Rabbi Till to be our Ba'alat Kriyah, the person who receives the honor of announcing the shofar calls.
Tekiyah, Shavarim Teruah, Tekiyah.
Thank you. Let me see how I move. No, that's not what I'm looking for. Well, we can just leave it this way. Because the next slide is really, actually the 2 slides what we talked about as far as what animals we are allowed to take and what not, and why. But how did we get to this instrument? Liz is going to tell us. Liz is going to read us a story coming from Does God Have a Big Toe? It's called the Announcing Tool.
A long time ago, when people lived in one place, getting news was easy. They had yellers then who would walk around town, and after a few minutes of yelling, everyone got the news. But when people began living all over the place, even the yellers couldn't yell loud enough to get the news around. Most people didn't get the news. But some special times just had to be announced. And the arrival of the new year was one of those times. So God asked Enoch to go find an announcing tool. The next day, Enoch returned with 2 rocks. "Oh God, listen to my fine announcing tool," said he, who banged the 2 rocks together, making a loud rock banging sound. God said to Enoch, "What kind of announcing tool is this to tell us the arrival of the new year? Rocks don't make music, they only make noise. The new year is a time for music and singing, not banging and yelling." Enoch ran off to find another announcing tool. Next day, Enoch returned with a gong. "Listen to this one," shouted Enoch, as he gonged the gong, making lots of gonging sounds until God said, "Stop!" "What kind of announcing tool is this to announce the arrival of the new year? The gong does make a strong sound, but the gong is made of iron, and iron is used to make swords and spears and arrows and other weapons of war. The new year is a time of peace, not war." So Enoch ran off to find a new announcing tool. The next day, Enoch returned with a harp. "God, this one is a winner," he said, as he strummed some lovely harp sounds that filled the air. "Close," said God, "very close, but not close enough. The harp is a lovely instrument. It is not noisy, it's not made of iron, but it's too soft and fine for an announcing tool." The new year is a time of loud rejoicing. We need an announcing tool that will carry the news from hilltop to hilltop around the world. Try again. The next day, Enoch returned with a golden trumpet in his hand and announced to God, "What you see here, God, is the perfect announcing tool. It makes music, not noise. It is made of iron. It is not made of iron, and it is loud enough to carry the news of the new year from hilltop to hilltop." Enoch then blew some fine notes on the golden trumpet. Then God said, "The golden trumpet is a good announcing tool." Enoch jumped up and down with joy until God continued, "Good, but not good enough." The golden trumpet makes loud, beautiful music. It's not made of iron, but it is made by somebody who pounded it and rolled it and shaped it. I want a natural announcing tool that is not made of gold. Prices are going up. Nobody could afford such an announcing tool. Enoch was getting depressed, but ran off one more time to hunt down another announcing tool. The next day, Enoch was a little late in coming to God. When he did arrive, he was out of breath. "I'm embarrassed, God, to show you my new announcing tool. It's only this ram's horn, not nearly as sweet as the harp or as beautiful as the golden trumpet, but it's not made of iron, and nobody pounded it or shaped it except the ram. I even think it is loud enough to get the news from hilltop to hilltop, but I'm not sure if it is a good enough announcing tool." "Why are you not sure?" asked God. Enoch replied, "Well, you see, Holy One, blessed be you, I have been practicing with this thing all morning. And it is ever so hard to blow. Sometimes I blow and blow, and all I get is beep, or sheep. Then maybe another God's routine out of great love. Enoch, you have done well. The ram's horn is a perfect announcing tool. It is natural and loud, and it can make beautiful sounds. I know it's hard to play, but that is just right. The new year is hard too. It is a time for deciding to do good things and give up bad things. The new year is a time for apologizing to others for hurting them in any way. And all that is very, very hard to do, even harder than blowing the ram's horn. Then God sat Enoch down and taught him to blow the ram's horn for the big celebration of the new year that was soon to begin. By the end of one lesson from God, Enoch could blow the ram's horn without a peep, a flip, or a squeak.
Thank you, thank you. So, I'm not God, and I cannot teach you in one day how to do it without a peep and a peep and a peep. But I encourage you, if you have a shofar at home, start to practice. And then one day, I'm sure that you can come and you can join and we can make a shofar choir during holidays. So, any questions about the story and or about the video that you just saw and heard? Yes?
Training, are there training schools for shofar blowers?
Yeah, so maybe, I don't know about, but maybe we can start something here if you have a shofar. So here is a good question. So here is the thing. This is the Enoch one. And in order to have a shofar that is good enough for you, my recommendation, don't go to Amazon.com or even to the gift shop. Go to Israel. You can visit the country and at the same time go to the city of Tzfat or Jerusalem. Not to Jerusalem right now, I would not recommend it, but to Tzfat, and that's where I saw this one. And actually the story of this one is very interesting. 1985, my wife and I went to Israel, and we went to the city of Tzfat. And I do not exaggerate, they had tables, 2 tables like this, shofars like this, all covered. And I say, look at this, wow. And I never blew a shofar before. I just played French horn, that's all. So I said, you know what, let's try them. So we try, suddenly we got to this one. Now, if you see this one, tell me what's very special about this one in comparison to this one. This. It's not shaved. Most of the shofar that you'll see are shaved like this because people think this is more beautiful. I don't think so. So we saw this one and I started to plan it. People start to turn around the whole market. People start to gather. What is going on here? You know, what is this guy doing? And it was such a fine instrument. It was, you know what, I want to blow, you know, it's amazing. But it was expensive. It was $85. At that time, it was expensive for us. So I said, let's leave. So we start to work in the market. About halfway, she looks at me and said, you're still there. I say, yeah, this shofar. Let's go back and get it, you know. So we went back, and lucky enough, there still was there, and we got it. So the thing is that between these two is really the difference. You heard this one in the video, but now drink a little bit of water because I'm going to be dry. But the sound, and I'll play both of them. Tell me if you hear the difference in the sound. Let's try with this one. Do you hear a difference?
Yes.
What's the difference?
That one is for
First one, right, and that one's very piercing.
That one's piercing, exactly. Exactly.
What is it?
It's piercing.
Yeah, this has more what you call thin sound.
Yeah.
Because the vibration is much larger because it doesn't have the outer layer. It doesn't muffle the sound. So it's more of a bright, more of a, like more open sound. While this one is more, the sound is more contained, more, I would say melodic, or more muffled. Also, this one projects much more than I think than this one. But so this is really the difference that many people, when they buy shofar, they will buy this one. Because it's beautiful, right? Maybe, I don't know. It's shaved, you can see things, and people say, okay, it's going to be nice on my shelf or something like that. So this is one of the main differences between this one and this one is really how they, first of all, I think that this one looks much more natural. It looks like it came straight from the antelope, African antelope. I think it's African antelope. And it's really, I think it's more beautiful than this one. The process of making a shofar, there are few things very important, as you heard in the video. It should not have any hole, any crack or anything. When I used to be in Spokane, Washington, there was a shofar blower who thought, I'll be smart, I want my shofar to be kosher. So he took his shofar to MRI, and they found a hair of crack. You could not blow it anymore in the Rosh Hashanah. You want to be smart, you want to go to MRI, go over there, and then that's it. Nobody could see it, you won't see it at all. But when you go to a sort of hospital equipment, you can see everything. So this is one of the things, don't just look at it and see if there is a crack or not. Don't go any further. The other thing which is very important is if you buy a shofar and you smell it, how many of you got new shofar? Or purchased once new shofar? How did it smell?
Like a dead animal.
Like a dead, exactly. This one smells fine. Why? Okay, if you have it, you put 70% alcohol, wash it, and then hot water. Keep on doing it, and the smell will disappear. So this is one of the things. When you try to blow the shofar on high holidays, and you take it and you start to smell it, it reduces your enjoyment of the shofar. So this is one other thing. The other thing is to make sure that it's completely cleaned. A few years back, one of our members came to me and said, Ilan, I have a question for you. Can you try my shofar? I tried to blow it and blow it, nothing comes through. I don't know what's going on. So it's like, bring it over. And I tried to blow it, nothing came through. So I went to the faucet, put the water here, nothing came from here. Guess what? Whoever did the cleaning left it somewhere here blocked. So I guess why you cannot do that, because it's blocked. So make sure before you buy, put water here and make sure that it goes out from here before you buy it. The other thing is for you and this is one of the most important thing, is what we call the mouthpiece, or the end of it. The reason is because our lips look like oval. The best shofar is if the opening is oval too. And if you can look, you can see that it's not like a round, it's more of like oval shape. Even though if you look straight, they bore the hole with cylindrical equipment that goes like a trumpet, whatever. If you play the trumpet or trombone or any instrument, the mouthpiece goes this way inside. It goes like a conical shape, and the same thing they do it here. But the best one is to have it oval, and very important, with thick enough lip, so you're not going to hurt yourself when you blow the shofar. Like this one here, for instance. For this one, it took me some time to figure out. This one has also oval here. But I thought at the beginning that this is the best way to do it. But take a look where this one goes to. It goes down. And so I didn't play it. And then 2 years ago, I think, I said, what about if I do it this way? Just completely upside down. And then I mark it here, so I know exactly where my thumb goes to. And it's exactly where it should be. Actually, this one blows easier than this one. It's less nice. So I'm cheating. On high holidays, I will do this one. But it's easier. But because shofar is a shofar, I mean, the both sounds good, but for the piece that I'm playing together with a cantor and a pianist, I use this because it's nicer. It's not the safest, but it's nicer. Also, the lower note on this one is a little bit low, while this one is perfect pitch. So, see, you need to compromise. What do you want? You want a nice sound and a little bit less on pitch, or some less nicer sound, but so again, you cannot do anything to the shofar. You need to deal with what you have, and that's why I have 3 shofarot at home. I have these two, and I have one in a key of G. And it's a nice one, but I decided because when I was in Jerusalem, I got 2 for the price of 1 after negotiating, and my wife hated this bargaining, and so I used it. So I said, no, you see, my wife is working, so I walk after her. So no, tell me, this guy wanted $250 for each one of them. Wow. I said, that's too expensive, I cannot do it. And I start to walk, and in the old city, you have the steps, right? So she comes and she sits right there on the step, looking at me like she wants to swallow me alive. I said, what are you doing there? So I said, look, she sits over there, she's I cannot do it. And I start to walk, and he runs after me. Eventually, I got both of them for the price of $100. So, for him, he wants to get rid of it. And of course, he's thinking, I'm coming, I'm speaking English to him, whatever. So, I'll give it to him, $250 each. He said, so you need to, if you want to go and do some bargaining, send someone to be pushing, and then it will work. And that's how it's worked. The difference also between the big ones and the small one. This is a ram horn. The ram's horn is a little bit hard to play melody. It's shorter. So I don't, this is not mine, this is Rabbi Katz's shofar. And I asked him, do you have a ram's horn? Because I want to demonstrate that, this is what we call, this is the shofar that needs to be blown during high holidays because of the ram. But the thing is that you cannot really play, or maybe some people can play. I cannot play. So, but it's, and the same thing, if you can see, it has an oval shape right here. The higher note, it's very hard to get. So when you hear a ram's horn, it's just the 2 note. Ta 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 ta. If you know, it might be that you can. It's very hard to get higher notes. So it's really only 2 notes. While when you take this one, so you can play music. So you be the judge. You want to be authentic? Take this one for high holiday. You want to be a little bit more show off? Take this one. Yes.
How do you, or how does one remove the shofar from the animal Is the animal already dead? Is it sawed off? How do you?
I never saw it, but I assume that the animal need to be dead by that time. I assume that they cut it, because you can see the different shapes to the end of it. I don't know if they do some kind of the cut like this one. It looks like they did cut it afterward, like with more of a. So it's going to be more of a nice cut. The one thing is that I assume that the animal need to be consumed. You cannot just leave it. You cannot just kill the animal. I'm sure that it's done because you have so many shofarot around, so I'm not sure that they ate all the antelopes in Africa. But I assume that in order for us, if we can identify that the animal was consumed, like used for food, and then you can use a shofar, but I'm not sure. Rabbi, do you know if the animal...
I've not checked in Africa about
You didn't check it out? No. So again, I don't know. But it's probably it's cut after the animal is caught and dead.
You're not supposed to name an animal. It's also one of the 7 commandments of the children of Noah. You're not supposed to just, if you're hungry, you take a leg from a chicken and let it jump on one. You're supposed to the extent that we either eat or consume animals for different things, we're supposed to first take their lives.
Yeah.
And then, and I apologize for all the vegetarians.
Yeah, well. So you saw in the video, actually, so we have all kinds of, from the deer family or the goat, which from the deer family we cannot, not that we are not allowed, but which horns we cannot use for shofar. Antlers, right? We cannot use antlers because it's not like a horn like this. So actually, every animal from the goat or the deer we can use because it has this kind of a shape. It doesn't have any of those things you're going to run. And again, we cannot. I have a picture of the longhorn in Texas that you cannot use the horn from that. And I just thought about it. If I could do it. Can you imagine how heavy it is to hold it and blow the shofar from longhorn? So lucky enough, we cannot do that. So we are not attempting to have a shofar from a longhorn. How long does it take to practice? It depends. If you are a brass player, it's very quick because you know how to blow it. If not, if you want to blow a shofar, and I did once a lesson with it, the best way to learn a shofar, if you never blew a brass instrument, you take a straw and you blow it first, like this. So you get your lips in the form of this, and then you take the straw out, and then you put the shofar and you try to blow, and you need to be able to buzz your lip. If you can do that, you can blow shofar. Let's try it without making any spit around you. How many of you can do like? Yeah. So think about that. You have a straw. Like you have a straw. The same form with the lips. Yeah, okay, if you can buzz it, you can play the shofar. That's how it works. So with God's help, you're going to do it in one day. But don't count on it. Just blow the shofar, and at one point, if we want to do it, when you have shofar out and everything, we can do sort of adult education, shofar blowing lessons.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I have a question, if you can describe it. How do you get the different notes? What are you doing to make the different notes?
How many brass instruments do we have? I'm playing brass instrument people. Okay, how do you do it without a slide?
You adjust the configuration of your lips to be able to reach the higher notes.
And what else?
Without removing the mouthpiece.
And what else as far as the air?
The amount of air?
you need more, you need less air you need less air.
It's actually, what you do it, you adjust the lips, but also the air goes up and down. So you do it like this. Now, people tell me, you probably need lots of air to blow the shofar. This is the worst mistake you can ever make. Why? Who is a physicist here? What happens if you have a very small opening and large amount of air and you try to blow air? What happens to you? You create pressure. So the point is that, and this is a secret, how you do at Kiyat Gula, long. You need to monitor the airflow. Steady airflow, all the time, steady airflow. And when you reach the point that you almost faint, then do this, and that's limit. Don't continue, because you will never get this up there. You will be on the floor. So the point really, when you do Kiyat Gula, don't take so much air, because you're going to do an anti-pressure, what you call it. You push against, and then your brain starts to, what happens when you have too much air, pressure of air. So it's really, you don't have lots of hot air, you have enough hot air to blow steadily and then do it. So you need to learn how much really to breathe in order to be able to do it and continue without too much air pressure in your belly. And that's really that's the key for Tkiya Gedola, is not lots of air, but enough that you can create a steady airflow, as long as, and I know that some of you, every slichot, I have someone who is, I see them with this, like this. And I'm looking, and I say, okay, really, again? Every year! Oh, you did it for 32 seconds. Okay, so maybe next year I'll do 33 seconds. The point of Tkiya Gedola is not really how long you can do it. My thing is, do it as long and is nothing get boring at the end. Because if you continue, okay, now come on, we want to finish the service, let's move it. So do it all the way up to the point it's interesting enough, and then stop. And then they'll tell you, wow, this year, 33 seconds. Okay, wow, nice. So as far as blowing, when you start to blow, when you start to practice one note, the easiest for you to blow, and then you go, and then you try to move the air up or down. You see, I don't know if you can see my lips. I put the lips a little bit smaller, but also the air a little bit, push it up. You push the air up and down, up and down, up and down. And then it's really, it's not that difficult. Seriously, it's not that difficult. The reason that people say, wow, you are the best shofar player in the world. First of all, how do you know? Do you know all the shofar players in the world? But the point is really not, is that let's say the story is actually my blowing the shofar, and that's why I blow it a lot for all kind of occasion, Holocaust Memorial Day, Israel Independence Day, because one day I was in Sioux City, Iowa, and they merged Reform and Conservative. Now, can you imagine what happened with that, right? So during the year, people called the office, are we doing Reform book or Conservative book? And that depends if they come. But there was what we call anniversary of the merger. And I said to them, you know what? Let me blow the shofar. And I blew the shofar and I turned it all around to the ark and back. And I started to see that people start to cry. And at the end, they say, you know what? You have no idea what the sound of the shofar creates. Because for me, I hear it from here. I don't really hear what you hear, because the sound goes forward. And that's why it's a good announcing tool. You can hear it forever. But I think it's because of the symbolic of this ancient instrument. And the reason that the point that we blow it on Rosh Hashanah and the end of Yom Kippur and during Elul, and then also if you do that, do it from other occasions. It can be Holocaust Memorial Day, it can be Israel Independence Day, it can be other occasions that you want to gather people together. What?
Thanksgiving.
And Thanksgiving, if I'll be here. I was asked already, and it might be that I'll be here because I think that we'll do Thanksgiving in the Netherlands a week after. So I may be able to be here for this. And especially because it's here at Sinai. So, by the way, we have the best sanctuary for blowing the shofar. The acoustic of our sanctuary is unbelievable. If you go to other places, there's no comparison. When I'm on the bima playing the shofar, the resonance of the walls, because they are in this shape and we have the greenery, is amazing. So where was I?
People crying.
Oh, people crying, that's it. So I think that the effect of the sound of the shofar is so profound. So it gets into our innermost soul. And when people are a little bit shaky as far as good or not good, yes, no, what's going on, especially when you have reform and conservative together, which can be a disaster. And suddenly you have an instrument like this who actually, it's like what we call kibbutz galuyot, the gathering of the people from all around. Is you unify people. You gather and say, yes, we have something in common. We can be friends even if we are reform or conservative. We're still people. It's like right now in the world, we can be friends. And maybe I should take the shofar right now in Israel and do some kind of, let's gather and let's do some. So this is really one of the things that I like so much to plan it, because I know that the effect on people, and especially high holidays where people come and think about, it's also tshuva, but also the point of, in our world right now, and for a long time, we have problems and trouble and everything. We have this one day, we come as a community, that we need to think about, we are together. We can be together as people. And I think that this instrument is the one that, from all other instruments during the service, if it's piano, played beautifully, the violin, the viola, whatever it is, this instrument has something in it. And it's not only for the Jewish world, it's also for Christians. I played once, it was in Dallas when I was, and we had a march from a synagogue to it was a church, but like a cathedral. It's like these high ceilings. And playing in the cathedral, shofar, it's fun. The thing is, you need to know, you need to play and then stop, and the sound goes. Sound travels. I once want to take the shofar with me when we have a 10th grade trip to the temple in New York City. And they have, it's huge temple, Temple Emmanuel. I want to play over there to see how it sounds. But the thing is that we went to the cathedral and I played over there. People sat over there with sunglasses because we had a walk, and they see tears coming from their eyes. And it was a march I think it was after the a gunman in Los Angeles went to a kindergarten or something, and it was some kind of march against hate. And it's the sound. There's something which so ancient about the sound that gets into you. Yes.
You know, for me, I don't know if it's true for other people, it's a unique sound. You don't hear it any other time. And when I hear it, it takes me back to childhood. Because it's so closely associated, sort of like Kol Nidre.
Yeah.
It's so closely associated with it.
Yeah. And I'm fortunate enough that at one time in Sioux City, a composer came to me, a pianist, composer, and said, Ilan, let's write a piece together. I'll write for the singer and for piano. You'll take it and you'll put the shofar in it. And that was in 1988 or 89. And since then, I play it almost every year. Because just the point that you can have shofar, piano, and voice together playing, it's unbelievable that you can really combine them together. So I will we'll do it again this year. So, any other questions? Yes.
I'm curious to know if you have any idea how this sort of shofar playing would be received by the Haredi community.
Actually, they play it.
This way?
Well, if you mean the melodic thing, or just this shofar?
No, the melodic.
More
than its traditional.
Historically, according to this, they used to do it in the Middle Ages all the time. First of all, coronation of kings all the time. Funerals, they do it all kinds of occasions, like ceremonial occasions. If nowadays, you can ask your friends from their.
I always wonder also about the question about the ultra-Orthodox, and I hope it's not coming from the place, God forbid, of our inferiority complex. Would they accept? Like we make. I'm not worried about you, but it's more me being raised in Israel, where we're former oppressed, and I always have to liberate myself from that. But to say that, as far as I know, that you see, they didn't take the French horn lessons. So as far as I've ever heard in the Orthodox world in Israel, they tend to play one sound, like you demonstrated with a ram.
Yes.
Even if they use a bigger shofar, it's easier. Right? They would still have a They would not go to the octave or to the fifth. As far as I know, it doesn't. I think, like you said, I have not been to every Orthodox synagogue in the world, so I can say what they're doing. But from my experience, it's not as musical.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that it's better or worse. It just means that it's how they use it.
Yes.
It makes me think about blowing the shofar versus playing the shofar.
Yeah.
And you play the shofar.
I blow the shofar musically. It's the same. The technique is the same. And the thing is, but it's very important. The distinction is very important, because when you say play, that means you have either this, you have that, or you have this, or you can change notes mechanically, or you harp or whatever. This one, you blow the trumpet when you don't use the piston. If you blow the trombone, if you don't put it on the slide, you blow it. But you use whatever you have in order to create music from it. So it's still blowing, but we say between blowing and playing, blowing is Rosh Hashanah notes. Playing is something else, but it's still blowing. Yes?
Yeah, I mean, I'll say that for sure, as far as I know. Again, I haven't read all the Jewish books in the world either. But as far as I know, there is no halakha. There is no rule that says you are not allowed to make more than one sound. In other words, maybe it didn't even cross their minds.
Yeah.
Maybe they say, "Oh, it's not allowed." But sometimes there's that. But also, I would imagine that how you play it, it seems to be natural. This is how it used to be played. So.
Yeah, I mean.
So
historically, it was played like this. In the Middle Ages, it was played Or, well, the thing is this, actually, I'm not sure it was played like this. Maybe they did 1 or 2 notes for funerals or whatever, coronation, whatever it might be. I took the freedom to say, hey, I can do it, so I'm going to do it. Why not? I know that, for instance, Rebbe Kalimnik said, if Ilan doesn't blow the shofar on Holocaust Memorial Day, I'm not coming. and he was an Orthodox rabbi. So I said, okay, now I even worse right now. So now I'm responsible that Rabbi Kalimnik will come to the Holocaust Memorial service.
So now that you got the stamp from the Orthodox rabbi, you can
Yeah.
I have another comment, but let's hear other people.
I know it was in the slide, but I already forgot. Why again can you not use the cow's horn?
Because of the golden calf.
Oh, the calf.
Yep.
Ilan, there is any school where you can learn how to play, or you do it just by yourself? Just curious.
By yourself, because no one thinks that's maybe to do it. I don't know how many, maybe you know how many people do take the shofar and blow.
I think in Harvard they have a department.
They have a department of shofar blowing.
You got a master's.
Yeah. No, sorry.
It's near the whistleblower.
Talking about brass instrument players, but to me it felt more like, as a long ago clarinet player, that thing that you were trying to get us to do with our mouths, it felt like more like a woodwind kind of thing. Is that not helpful?
It's well, the reed is different. The vibration of the reed is making the music. The vibration of the lip make the music on the brass instrument.
I guess I was just talking about the shape of the mouth.
Well, it depends. Like that might be. I mean, they have also, because the point that you have to form the shape around the mouthpiece. So if it's an oboe, it's very small. If it's clarinet, it's bigger. Bassoon is very small. So you form it around the lip. It has to be sealed. You should not have it. So the same thing, like brass instrument, actually all the mouthpieces are round, actually. But your lips create an oval shape. The point is that the difficulty sort of the shofar is that you place it on the lip, not around the lip. Like trombone, when you play, the lips are inside. They're not like, the mouthpiece is not on the lip, it's around the lip. And this one, and that's why I pointed it should have a little bit more of a meat here, because you need to place it on the lip, just above the opening. Otherwise you won't be able to play it. So you have to adjust it right there. Some of you, when you see my playing, I do like this, and sometimes I just adjust it. So I feel where it sits on my lip. But if you can see, it's on the lip. It's not around the lip, it's on the lip itself. But it has to be above enough that you can create vibration of the lip. Otherwise, it will not play. The lip has to vibrate in order for it to play. So, and that's where when you practice, well, the thing is, as God says, it doesn't make to be simple. but don't be discouraged not to try and not to work it, to think about like how to play, how to do it, and then when you purchase a shofar, that's one thing. It's very important not to get it from Amazon. I know that Ellen Goldenberg said that she wants to have one for her, one of the kids in the family. So she said, okay, I'm going to order 6 from Amazon and return 5. So at least I have maybe one of them will be fine. So again, it's like you can, when time comes, and if you want a shofar or whatever, visit Israel and go to Tzfat. And there is a shop, specific shop, where I bought this one from. And he moved. So when I went the second time to look for other shofars, and said, where is this guy? The one next to him is, you are the one that about 20 years ago bought the shofar. He moved is more inside the market. He's next to whatever, jewelry, whatever it is. So I went over there. Yeah, he was there. They had some shofars like in different, not on a table, but in the case or whatever. But he didn't have anything that, actually, not true. The shofar, Shekufeh Sussman, I think that many of you remember Shekufeh. She asked me to buy a shofar for Harold. And it's going to be his, I think it was the 50th birthday. And she wanted to be a surprise. So I went over there to Tzfat, and I found over there a shofar in E, not in F, but in E. And I brought it back, and then she put it under his pillow. And she told him, go to our bedroom and take the pillow off. And then it was a shofar for him. So it was really, really nice, actually.
He was a French horn player, so
He was,
does the key matter at all when you're talking about?
Well, it is matter if you want to write a piece for the shofar, you need to either write it in E or in F or in G, whatever the shofar is, and then you can write. Because no matter what, I mean, every shofar has, it's like a series of notes, like any other brass instrument. You just need to know what key is in it, and then you write the music according to that.
So thank you.
You're very welcome.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
And it was really a delight, and maybe, who knows, maybe next year, not 5 minutes before Rosh Hashanah.
Yeah.
There'll be public demand for a workshop, a series of 3, 4, we can, the sky's the limit in Temple Sinai, right?
Yeah, and if you...
To say, and really just 2 things. One is that, as you know, to complementary to all amazing things that we've learned today, the mitzvah, the commandment is, when we say the blessing, is to hear the sound of shofar, right? So Ilan, we're blessed with maybe arguably the best shofar player in the world. It hasn't been scientifically proved, but does that exclude any of us from doing the inner work of having it heard and echo in the places that we need? All right, so that's just one comment. And the last thing is reminding us that now it's quarter to, and we're invited to kind of gather outside if you're not in a terrible hurry, so we can be with the children and the entire community when we plant the flags.
And if you buy a shofar, I'll be happy to try it for you and to see if they clean the whole thing. You're welcome.